All right, so the town council voted for a CIP shift and residential factor. So we consider that every year as a part of the budget process. And what we're looking at is if we're going to apply a shift, and the town historically in the past has, shifting tax burden away from residents onto the commercial, industrial, and personal property. And so what they voted for was a shift of 1.28 and a residential factor of 0.9545. That shift means that they are going to pay less taxes than they would have if the council had voted the same shift last year. The last year shift was 1.17, right? So when we calculated and we provided information to the council, we showed them exactly how this would relate to what they paid last year. If they'd kept it the same, it would have been a $344 increase. Because the shift went a little deeper and went to 1.28, right, their tax bill will be just a little bit over $200 this year. So a savings of about $144 if they had maintained the same shift from last year. This was a huge shift for the town council to make. It was 11 points on the scale. They had not done a shift that significant since I've been here, and the result was equivalent to $1.25 million that the taxpayers of residences won't have to pay that got shifted to the commercial and industrial personal property lines. So much like the free cash discussion that they had, this was equivalent by shifting it that far down to $1.25 million in cash in favor of the residents here in North Attleboro.
So take me through this again. So what is the rate per $1,000 of value on, say, a single or multifamily home?
Under the new rate, it'll be $11.56, right? And that was as of the calculation that I had talked with the assessors and the town accountant today. So it's a decrease. But remember, home values have increased, right? We saw a significant increase in the value of our residential properties. Went up 13.8% across the board. So with that, the commercial and industrial property base had only marginal increases. So most of the gain in value went on the residential side. So they saw a larger proportion of that in the tax. When we do that shift, it's kind of leveling it between the two and making it on par. So you'll see comments that you might have heard in the town council meeting where, hey, this makes it equal, that the residences and the businesses are shouldering about the same amount of increase, right, as they had from last year. So that was a very, very strong signal from the town council to support both residents and businesses alike here in North Attleboro.
Was there any thought given to use some of the $5+ million in free cash to help offset that rise even more? And do you know of any municipalities that do that?
It's a tool that's available to municipalities. I don't know any offhand that have recently used that, right? But it is something that's available. And if you have the free cash, right, and we had $5.5 million certified from it, and it came from a number of sources that provided that. And that's generally right in line with the guidance that the Commonwealth puts out about where, free cash should come back to, right about 5% for us. And it was an opportunity for us to take a look at, potentially give some back into the levy and help the taxpayer. But that $1 million debate was a good debate that happened in the Finance Committee as well as on the council meeting for the tax setting. But at the end of the day, right, when they decided to move from 1.17 to a 1.28, it was equivalent. It was greater than that $1 million of free cash. It comes to $1.25 million. So the council saw the value in that, keeping those rates, but it's a tool that they have to be able to say, okay, we're not going to let things rapidly climb out of control. And so it was a great move by the council.
There was a different approach to voting on tax classification this year. In the past, the assessors would make their presentation, and later on in the same meeting, the town council would vote on the tax rate. This year was a little bit different. Do you think it worked?
No, absolutely. And look, kudos to the council president, right? Because we've worked this a couple times, and previously we had gone with the public hearing, right? And then put the decision in front of the council and had the Board of Assessors there and say, what's your vote? But the council president, in his wisdom said, hey, look, this is an important decision, right? Let's take 2 meetings and split it up. Let's have the information so the counselors can respond to it, right? Ask questions and have more of an informed opinion prior to the vote. So working through the schedule, we set up a meeting, brought in the information, talked through everything that might pertain, and then reached out to all the counselors and said, hey, look, come talk to the assessor and myself if you have any questions, how we can answer it. This is an important vote, probably one of the most important votes that you'll take in the year that will directly impact every resident and business here in town. So the more information you want or need, we're going to provide it for you and help you make that informed decision. So fully support that. I'm positive we're going to do that again in the next year and split it up and make sure that every counselor has the opportunity to look at. And we answered questions on scenarios of different, tax situations. If we took free cash, if we didn't take free cash, if we pushed the rate to here, if we did the commercial exemption or not do the commercial exemption, and even looked at a residential exemption where you had owner-occupied and non-owner-occupied properties that we could do a slight shift in. So great debates, much more discussion. I think it's a win for North Attleboro. We come out at the end of this with the lowest personal property, the lowest industrial, the lowest commercial, and most importantly, the lowest residential tax rate of all the communities around us.